Good day, learners. We are now here in our geometry lesson that talks about Pythagorean Theorem. Hold on, keep on watching this kind of video. I hope you understand it well. As we use the Pythagorean Theorem, it is a tool for the right triangle problems only. Take note, it is just only applicable in the to the right triangle. Now, as we go through with this discussion, when do I need to use this Pythagorean Theorem? If the given two sides of a certain right triangle and the other third side is that we need to know or unknown, then we can apply the concept of Pythagorean Theorem. What is this Pythagorean all about? Take note that the A here and the B here are considered now as our legs of a certain right triangle. Take note with that, in a certain right triangle. Now, what we see there is represented by the hypotenuse. Then, since it is just our right triangle, so this is represented by the right triangle, wherein angle opposite to this side is our hypotenuse, and the A here and the B here is our legs of our right triangle. And by the way, the formula now that we have to use in getting the Pythagorean Theorem is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. What does it mean? We have the square of the two legs, the square of the sum of the two legs is just equal to the square of its hypotenuse. For example, with this figure, we have here two legs given, 15 and 20. Since x here is unknown, and x here is in the opposite angle, here is a right angle, then this x here is our hypotenuse. So if that would be the case, so we have to make use of a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now 15 squared, replacing for the one of the legs that we have, so 15 squared plus the square of b, the other leg, which is 20, so the square of 20, which is equal to c squared. 15 squared now therefore is just the same as 225. Then added to the square of 20 is 400, which is equal to c squared. Now, to get the sum of 225 and 400, so we come up with 625, which is equivalent to c squared. Then, take the square root of both sides that we have. Take the square root. Now, so square root of 625 is equal to the square root of c squared. So therefore, we could say that the c now, or the hypotenuse side value, is 25. Okay? Now, let's proceed to another set of example. So as you can see in this given, one of the legs that we have is unknown, which is represented by x. So if that would be the case, since here that we have our x here is just the same as our variable b. So from the Pythagorean, we have here a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Then replacing all the values of a, b, and c, so we now have here, or the b, since the b here is unknown, so b squared, replace that one, 6 squared, which is our a, one of the legs, then c squared, which is 10 squared. So 6 squared is 36 plus b squared is just the same as 10 squared is 100. Then we have, so now we have here 36 plus b squared is equal to 100. And so in this case, we could have to work it out how to get the value of b. So it seems that we have here 36 on the left side of the equation and 100 on the right side. To get the b here, or just as since it is just still b squared, all we have to do is to add both sides of the equation by negative 36. So 36 added to negative 36 and it became 0. B squared is copied, became b squared is equal to 100 minus 36, and that is 64. And now take the square root of both sides of the equation for us to be able to get the value of b. So we could say now further that the b value that we have is equal to 8. So how to apply the Pythagorean Theorem in a real life situation? So consider this problem. A 15-foot ladder leans up against a building. The foot of the ladder is 5 feet from the base of the building. How high up the wall to the nearest foot does the ladder reach? I repeat, a 15-foot ladder leans up against a building. The foot of the ladder is 5 feet, so from the base of the building. So consider this one here, the 15-foot ladder. So this is our ladder that we have. So this is considered as our ladder, leaning against the wall, which is 5 feet from the foot of the ladder. Then we're going to have to find out how high up the wall to the nearest foot as the ladder reach. So take note, if it is nearest foot, what we have now here is we're going to round off to the nearest whole number. Okay, take note with that. So it seems that the building that we have is standing against the standing perpendicular to the ground. So it means to say that we have a right angle there. So for us to be able to get the value of the certain wall wherein the ladder leans up here, so all we have to do is we have to make use of the Pythagorean theorem. Then this one is the unknown x here is just considered as our a, the 5 here is our b, and the 15 here is our c. Now as we go through with the solution using the formula of a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, since our a is just our x, so a is x squared plus 5 squared, which is 5 squared, then we have here 15 squared, since the value of c is 15. Now we have x squared plus 25 is equal to 225, because 15 squared is 225 or 225, 5 squared is 25. For us to be able to get the value of the x squared, since we have here in the left side of the equation is 25, all we have to do is just to remove the 25 here by merely adding both sides of the equation by negative 25. So 25 added to negative 25 is 0. So what is remaining on the left side of the equation is x squared. Now 225 added to negative 25, and we come up with 200. Then to get the value of x, so take the square root of both sides. So x now therefore is just the same as square root of 200, or approximately we have 14.14 to 2135. Or since it's just what we need to have is nearest foot, so meaning to say the ladder reaches 14 feet, because to round it up, this one is 14 feet. So the ladder now reaches 14 feet up the wall. So how am I to leave my answer? So we have to leave our answer by means of rounding the certain value to the nearest whole number. Okay, let's proceed now to the next problem. Our next problem is team rode 8 miles due north, so then 3 miles due east. How far to the nearest mile is team from where he started? So considering this is where team started his journey, so he going to road it to due north by means of 8 mile here, going there upward, then this one here, then after 8 mile he going east, which is 3 mile. So we have that here. Then therefore, what would be the distance between the end point where team certain go with the distance of his journey to to where he started his journey? So this is our x. So therefore, it seems that this one is considered now as our right angle, because what he started here, going to the part here, then going to the east. So it's just like the north and the east is just perpendicular to each other. So therefore, we could now say that we could create the right angle there. So therefore, the two given that we have values are the legs. Then what is unknown here is our hypotenuse. So further, we come up with 8 squared plus the 3 squared is equal to c squared by the use of the Pythagorean Theorem, for us to be able to solve one of the unknown side that we have. And so 64 plus 9 is equal to c squared. Then to get the c is we are going to square root, to extracting square root both sides. So what we now have is c is just the same as square root of 73, or approximately just the same as 8.5440037. Then take note that how am I supposed to leave my answer? Then it seems that what we now have here is we are going to round off our answer to the nearest mile. And so since this is 8.5440037, or then what we have is in our tenth digit, so 5 and up is add 1, so therefore we are going to add 1 to the units digit, so it became now 9. And so we have Tim is 9 miles from where he started. So that is how we cater that kind of example. So the further application that we have is the diagonals of a rhombus are 6 cm and 8 cm. What is the length of each side of the rhombus? Take note that the prior knowledge in working with the rhombus is that the diagonals of a rhombus, here we have here the diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other, and then they are perpendicular. So meaning to say, if they are perpendicular, it measures 90 degrees. So therefore, the diagonals are perpendicular to each other. So the sides of a rhombus and take note that rhombus are one of the regular rhombus is a quadrilateral wherein the sides are all congruent. Now, so this is now the figure that we have. So these are the sides wherein whatever the side value here is x, 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 x. So all that we have is x there. Take note with that. And since it is bisect each other, meaning to say it divide, when we say bisect, it means that it just divided into two equal parts. So if it is 6, then we come up here 3 and 3 here. If it is 8, we have now 8, and we have the whole part is 8. Then we have now here 4 here, and the part here is 4. And take note that perpendicular, the diagonals are perpendicular to each other, so it means to say that they are 90 degrees. So we have now here 8, 3, 4. So meaning to say that the given that we have are both legs of a certain right triangle. What is asked here is our hypotenuse. The hypotenuse here is just in a rhombus. That one is one of the sides of a rhombus. And so we have from the Pythagorean formula, we have here a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So we now have here 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to c squared. And now we have here 9 plus 16, and that is c squared. So we have 9 plus 16 and 25, so c squared is 25. So to get the c that we have is we are going to extract both sides by the square root. So square root of 25 is 5, square root of c squared is c. So what we have now here is the side of a rhombus that we have is measure 5 centimeter. Okay, that is how we cater with the given. What is the length of each side of the rhombus? So the length of the rhombus by means of its side is 5 centimeter. Okay, Let's proceed to the next example. As seen in the accompanying diagram, a person can travel New York City to Buffalo by going north 170 miles to Albany and then west 280 miles to Buffalo. So if if a highway is built to connect New York City and Buffalo, how many miles would be saved on the trip? B. With gas prices at $3.10 and a vehicle that gets 18 miles per gallon, how much money would be saved to round trip if a new highway was traveled instead of the old route? Okay, so we now have here from New York, a person can travel from, so starting from the New York City, we now have here New York, so we have here going to certain Albany, we have 170 miles, and then from Albany and then 280 miles from Albany to Buffalo. So therefore, so that is the old route that we have. So if a certain person having a distance from that, what would be the nearest route that we have that for the certain, if a certain person going to travel, then it goes back to it's where he started. So meaning to say, from here, from Buffalo to New York City, and it will never go back to the old route that we have. Okay, so as you can see that a certain given, which is 170 and 280 miles, are those legs that we have when we have our right triangle. And so since the unknown that we have two given side, and then the unknown side is just considered as our right triangle, angle opposite to side opposite to right angle is the hypotenuse. So therefore, what is not unknown here is the hypotenuse. So therefore, we have now square of 280 plus the square of 170, and that is equal to c squared. And then to solve for further, so we have now the sum of 280 squared and 170 squared is 107,300 miles. So take the square root both sides. So we now have here 327.566, which is equal to C. Did I answer question? Not yet, because there is some question that needs to have okay, because there are another set of follow-up question. So the old distance maybe perhaps is we have 280 plus 170 is we have 450 miles, while the new distance that we have is 327.566 miles if he travels Buffalo to New York through straight direction using the hypotenuse side. Okay, then he saved now 122.4, because we're going to subtract 150 to 327.566. So we now have here 122.4, or it's just 122 miles if we're going to round off to the nearest whole number. Now the last part is 102 miles times 2, because we now have here from the given that we have is we have 244, and the cost of gas that is just divided by 18, 3.10 divided by 18, and we now have $0.1722. Then the cost to drive 244 miles, which is the distance here. What he saved now is, the saving money is just $42.02, because the saved mile now that he has is something like times 2 from the origin, from the what he started. Okay, so now what he saved now is $42.02. Then to wrap it up, the Pythagorean theorem can be used only right triangles. You can just only use it with if we have right triangles. Then when should the Pythagorean theorem be used? Still the same, that it is used by right triangles. What should be done first when solving a word problem involving the theorem, Pythagorean theorem? When the length of two sides are known and the third side is needed, so we are going to draw it up. By the way, what must be done before writing the answer to the Pythagorean theorem? Knowing whether the answer should be rounded or not. Take note that one, should be rounded or not. Okay, so we ended up our lesson that talks about Pythagorean theorem, and hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we keep on watching for the future video by means of subscribing subscribing our channel, which is HME or Humble Math Easy, and don't forget to click that notification bell for you to be updated for the next future lesson. Okay, for now, see you then, and hold on and keep on watching, and see you around for the next video. Goodbye.